Hey guys, it's Comic Central here, and today we're going to be doing the history of Robbie Baldwin, Speedball. Let's get into this. Just before we start, I would just like to say that this video will only focus on Speedball, and I'll be leaving the whole Penance side of things to another video. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's talk about Speedball. Speedball first appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man Annual 22 of January 1988 and was created by comic greats Steve Ditko and Tom DeFalco. Robert Robbie Baldwin was born and raised within Springdale, Connecticut. His mother is Maddie Naylor and his father is Justin Baldwin, and the combined attitudes of his mother trying to get him to be artistic and his father encouraging him to get good grades turned the boy into an angsty teenager. His mother hoped Robbie would pursue a career in arts and his father wanted him to go into the law business. Robbie's father, Justin Baldwin, is the district attorney of Springdale and thinks that superheroes are just a menace and does not approve of them at all. His mother also co-starred in a soap opera with Mary Jane Watson, named Secret Hospital. However, his mother is no longer a soap opera star and is now a teacher. After his schooling, Robbie interned at Hammond Labs by Dr. Nicholas Benson. One day, Robbie snuck into the lab to watch Dr. Benson's experiment, an experiment that tapped into an extra-dimensional energy source. Robbie was accidentally exposed to the energy and radiation from the experiment after the energy of it went out of control. The energy gave Robbie superpowers. Robbie survives the experience. However, he finds himself surrounded by energy bubbles and is wearing a strange costume. This energy is from the kinetic dimension, as well, if you were wondering, which explains his kinetic-based powers. I'll explain that a little later though. Minutes later, Robbie gets in a fight with some thieves who want to raid the lab. He discovers that his body now generates a kinetic energy field after it gets hit with some sort of impact higher than a certain strength level. This level has not been determined though. Robbie calls himself Speedball and becomes a superhero crime fighter in his hometown of Springdale. He fights many low-grade villains such as Sticker, Leaper Logan, the Basher, Big-Eyed Voice, the Ghost of Springdale High, Two-Legged Rat, Bonehead, Harlequin Hitman, and Feathered Phelan. While Robbie secretly has his double life as both Robbie Baldwin and Speedball, his parents start to have problems with their relationship and marriage. This very situation leads to domestic stress that continues to escalate over time, and is partly because of the conflict between Robbie and his father. This conflict began because of his father's job as the town's successful district attorney, and because of this is expected to maintain Springdale's order against costume superheroes and has strong opinions about both superheroes and vigilantes. Dr. Benson's cat, called Niles, developed the same kinetic energy powers as Robbie, and Robbie was assigned to capture the feline so that Dr. Benson could study him. But Niles proves to be difficult to find, let alone catch. He helps Dr. Benson because he hopes Dr. Benson's studies of Niles would give him better control over his own powers. Robbie soon learns that Clyde Bodchick was also after the cat, and hoped to gain powers similar to that of Speedball. Speedball later adopts this cat, who goes on its own adventures with the pet Avengers, under the name of Hairball. It is later revealed that Clyde Bodchick is responsible for arming or empowering most of Springdale's villains. Once, Shara, under the name of Vibrania, went on a destructive rampage after her family died in an earthquake. This character is a dying mutant girl that eventually sacrifices herself in order to save Robbie's life. Robbie and his mother go to a Broadway play. Here, Robbie is jumped by 4 thugs and turns into Speedball in order to defeat them. However, a pair of armored men turn up and kill the muggers. These armored men are the High Evolutionaries' armored purifiers and are preparing to put the entire city into an unconscious state after they kill everyone with unacceptable DNA. Speedball overheard the men talking about this and tries to tell the police, but they don't take him seriously. He arranges for both Daredevil and Spider-Man to break into the armored men's operations in the Empire State Building, thinking they are taking on the drug dealers and muggers killers. Speedball smashes the men's antenna on the building, ending the threat. He falls off the building, however, but is luckily rescued by both Daredevil and Spider-Man. Speedball tries out for the Avengers, but is rejected because Captain America views his fighting style as too unrefined. Robbie later joins Damage Control. While shopping in New York City with his mother, Robbie joins the fight against Terex, along with a number of superheroes. The heroes soon become founding members of the New Warriors, and Robbie agrees to join the team. Night Thrasher didn't intend for Robbie to join the team, but after he assisted in the battle against Terex, Night Thrasher was convinced to let him join. The constant traveling from Connecticut to the team's base and headquarters in New York City proves to be difficult, and he often turns up late for Night Thrasher's team meetings. With the New Warriors, he battles Psionics, and eventually reveals his double identity to the team. After the team battle the Force of Nature, he reveals his secret identity to his mother, who then learns of his superhero identity. However, his father doesn't find out until some time later. After his mother discovers his secret identity, his parents' marriage ends after constant fights, and Robbie moves to New York City. He finds friendship with his team, the New Warriors, and develops a close relationship with both Nova and Rage. He was once tortured by the Sphinx, who drained some of his power, and then banished Robbie to the kinetic dimension, where he gets his powers from. During this time, Robbie was replaced by a clone who was created by Darion Grobe in the future to stop Darion's father from destroying the timeline. Rage felt betrayed after who he thought was Robbie sided with Nova about kicking Rage and Night Thrasher off the New Warriors, but when the real Robbie returned, he confessed to Rage that he would have made the same choice about kicking him off the team. When he returns, he also develops a short relationship with Timeslip. Robbie's mother was once tricked into joining the violent environmental group called Project Earth, but was thankfully rescued by Speedball and the New Warriors. Later, his father was kidnapped by the street gang called the Poison Memories, after they learned of the true identities of the New Warriors and began to target their families. After he gets saved by the New Warriors, Robbie and his father start to work on rebuilding their father-son relationship, after they'd grown apart after his father found out that he was a superhero. During his time in the New Warriors, Hindsight Lad realized that Speedball's access to the kinetic dimension meant that he was the embodiment of both time and motion. Speedball often helped the police to take down drug dealers, but often failed because of his uncontrollable powers. Robbie can create a kinetic field around him, which can absorb all the kinetic energy directed against him. He originally called this the Speedball effect. This kinetic energy field can resist attacks from bricks and rocks and even energy, fire, and even explosive attacks. It is nearly impossible for him to be hurt within the kinetic field, and can just bounce harmlessly around from object to object with no loss of momentum. An example of this, if he hit a wall, he would travel at a greater speed in the opposite direction. His powers can activate after any sort of harm is done by physical contact, and when his powers activate, his body increases in height and mass. This is because his body is drawing power and energy from an extra dimensional source, called the kinetic dimension. He reverts back to normal once he deactivated his power though. Games Master, a being who can read the minds of almost any being, couldn't read Robbie's mind when he was in his Speedball form, and when the Sphinx experimented on him, it was revealed that his body only appears to be human and can be stretched into many shapes. He has even showed control over his own molecules when he reshaped his body in order to give himself another costume after everyone else on the New Warriors got new costumes. When he turns into Speedball, he is commonly dressed in a blue and gold costume that originally looked a little like the lab uniform he wore when he originally got exposed to the energy. He is also surrounded by many multicolored bubbles, sometimes as golden circles of energy. That is what the kinetic energy shield is, these bubbles. He also gained the power to extend his kinetic field to attack enemies or block projectiles. He often uses his kinetic energy field to slam into his enemies though. He eventually learned to throw balls of kinetic energy bubbles and then learned to mentally throw the bubbles. And that brings us to the end of yet another video. If you did like this video, make sure to hit that like button to let me know, and comment your thoughts and opinions on this character or any video ideas you have for me to make in the near future. I take all comments into consideration. Also, don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with new videos coming out every Wednesday and Sunday. And with that said, I'll see you guys next video. Bye.